Alright, that should be working. So now everything is plugged in, everything is working. Alright, so today we're working on more level design. Specifically just trying to get each of these biomes to function. And we have a lot of work to do for this. I think we'll work on this probably one biome at a time. If I open up the map right here, let's see. I think all of this will be roughly the same kind of biome, the starting region here. Fairly simple, pretty straightforward. We're just going to leave it as is. The expanse and field is also going to be roughly the same. I think this is fine being like a deserty kind of area. And as you go around here, it becomes more like a field kind of area, which I will probably do some changes here with the voxel and stuff to try to make this feel a bit better. I know over here we're going to have to do a lot of block work to kind of make this look right. I know Ness is going to need a lot of work, so we're not going to work on that this episode probably. Probably going to focus more around these areas here and probably the wasteland. We might also work on the glacier a little bit and the lava lakes. You know, just the basics here and there. So I'll go ahead and just move this over to another tab. And we're just going to go ahead and get started with all this. I think first things first, we need to figure out which voxel tools we're going to be using specifically. So in order to make everything work, I do need voxel nodes. And I know we left off working on this area here, which is this kind of cave look. I'll leave this as is for now, but we will come back to this later to work on it more. Yeah, so where's the thing I'm looking for? I'm looking for... this tool. I'm looking for the sphere specifically. And looking at the map, I do want to go all the way out here to the beginning of the map. And I'm going to go ahead and just do some quick voxel work here, which shouldn't take too long. I'm going to go ahead and make the shape radius of this very large. Oh, I've crashed my game by doing that. No, actually it works. So now that we have this, I need to switch the type of material here to... what is it? Alien sand, probably. But I'll take a look to see if there's any other ones here. Okay, so we're getting the sand specifically. And we're just going to do some voxel change here. With middle mouse button, we can actually just go ahead and replace these large areas of voxel pretty easily. You probably want to bring the brush closer or make it smaller, just to make this a bit easier on us. But yeah, by doing this, we can basically just make all this area just more deserty for a start area. Probably want a bigger area here. I'm probably going to want to do this as spectator. But we just want this to look right. I'm not too worried about the stony patches because there's not really much we can do about that. This is more or less voxel being kind of glitchy sometimes. I do want to replace the surface. So you're not really going to see all that much except for what you're standing on. So by changing all this terrain to become like a sandy beginner area, I think it would fit nicely. little by little, we're just going to turn this whole area into a desert. We're doing a large amount of voxel changes at a time here, so you just have to be patient as we slowly go through this process. And of course, turning this entire area into a desert area is going to take a while. I think I am currently playing this in low graphics, so I'm probably going to have to change the graphics to be able to get rid of this weird effect that's going on. So we just turn this all into sand very slowly. Like I say, this is all sand. It shows as like a stony texture from a distance, which is kind of weird, but I think that might just be my graphics settings being on low. So if I change it to medium here, it should get rid of that stony texture. So as the stony texture goes away a little bit. But as you do approach it, it does turn into sand, and you're not really going to notice it because, again, the weather is going to be foggy. So that's fine. Just going to get rid of all this just to make sure this is like one big desert area here. You gotta get rid of the small patches like this that I forget about. There we go. Make sure to check the sim speed. Sim speed of the server is kind of low for some reason. And there isn't even that much really in the server here. So I'm going to have to check what's up with that. I know one issue I ran into before is just the sim speed issues. So I'm going to have to check what's causing them here.
Fuel critical.
To be honest, the sim speed might just be me holding voxel hands, because the moment I get rid of voxel hands, the sim speed goes up.
No energy.
So yeah, we're just going to have to deal with the low sim speed while I'm doing this. Which is going to be a while, unfortunately. I do just want to make sure that the terrain around here looks right. I might keep some of that around the mountains, but I definitely want this to feel more like a desert. So what I can do is I can use some special voxel here to make a crash site, but I'm going to focus on that later. I'm just going to fix the voxel right here a little more. gonna make it look a little more clean on the edges here. I'm just gonna get rid of these weird patches around the place. As you can see, this area looks kind of weird with all the stone kind of look to it. But when you approach it, it looks like this. It's completely sand. And you're going to be playing it at a player scale. So you're not going to notice it no matter what. You're basically just going to be down here with a rover, and with the fog and everything, you will not notice at all. So that's fine. I'll leave the hill as is because that's a lot of work. But I do want that entire area there to feel more like a big desert. Um, this area here is a bit tricky. I guess this is fine. It feels like a really big expansive desert. That's pretty much what we want it to look like. Same thing here. You don't need to really do much. You could patch that little area there, but I think it's fine the way it is, like a small bit of terrain feature. This is a bit of a starting area here. What I'm mostly concerned about is this lower area here. I want this area down here to feel like a path. So I'll go ahead and work on making it feel like a path. In order to make it feel like a path, I need to go ahead and change the shape radius to be a lot smaller. And I'm going to need to go down here, probably in character, to go ahead and make this path. Something small like this can make a big difference, because then you can actually see where you should be going, with like a little bit of a sandy path. As you're driving like a small rover along here, you can basically just slowly explore the environment. I'm just bring the sand up here. Let's see, I do want this to be a path that leads up to here. Although that is a very rough way of getting down. This is probably just going to be a one-way path as you're going down this way. Might smooth out the voxels here a little bit, or actually I'll make it so you drive through this part here. And from there you smoothly go down. Now I'm going to keep the vehicles in this scenario fairly small, so I'm not too worried about it. But at the same time, I definitely don't want people to be, crashing into corners and stuff. I'm not too worried about the trees. What I'm more worried about is the terrain right here. Of course, driving back up here with the rover is going to be near impossible. That's kind of the idea. This is kind of like a little bit of a point where, like, once you bring a rover down here, you're not going to be able to come back for a bit. Or if your rover's small enough, you should be able to, but even then, it's a bit of a stretch. Just take a look at the path here. I'll make it just feed through here, and then just go into the desert over here. You can make more paths later using other types of voxel tools. Just gonna connect this over here, and that's about it here. Let's say you're driving around and you go through here and you're like, oh, there's a path. So you might go down here. I think around there I'm probably going to use probably like a stone texture or something to resemble more of like a normal road going around the place. What I do need to worry about is this area over here. Which is probably going to be a little more difficult to traverse.
Fuel critical.
I'm going to have to
No
carefully
energy.
explore here to make sure that the path is actually traversable by rover. I guess it would be, but just very, very careful driving. I'll have to design a rover that can go over this kind of terrain. Oop, bit of a lag spike there. Yeah, now the path here seems to widen up. It becomes a lot safer to traverse here. I feel like this area right here would be perfect for like a battle of sorts. Okay, let's try to figure out where the exit over here is. It's directly to the right over there. I'm definitely gonna make the vehicles in this scenario fairly small. So that way the encounters feel a lot more dangerous. 'Cause I notice a lot of vehicles in this game kind of just, they're very oversized compared to like an actual realistic vehicle. Part of that is because the block scale is also kind of weird. I mean, you'll have wheels that are just really big compared to like an actual car's wheels. So I think I'll keep it as a standard for me to be using 2x2 wheels. Okay, so right over here, we're gonna have a bit of a crash site. I'm gonna let people explore, kind of just meander randomly. But once they find there'll be a road out here, just going to nowhere. But I'm gonna go ahead and have a gate where people can travel a bit. Let me go ahead and pick. We find the gate, and I'm gonna go ahead and make a path so we don't lose it. If I remember correctly, it was more on one side. I don't know where exactly, but there should be a gate here somewhere. There it is. Oh yeah, they're making these paths really big if the rover's gonna be fitting through a door like that. That's perfect then. So now all we need to do is go ahead and select the right kind of terrain. What about just plain stone? That doesn't look right. Hold on. Stone, sand, snow. Does this stone look better? Actually, that stone looks a lot better. So we're just kind of random paths around the place using this. Definitely have to make a note of it. I know his roads look terrible, but they're kind of meant to look terrible. Plus I could smooth them out later. Just do this. Then it's gonna feel a bit smoother. I guess now we have that. And I need to make a path that just goes from here all the way to the heart of the desert. Then what I'm gonna do, I might make a broken bridge right here. So it'll be like a bridge, but it's just collapsed. And then you'll be able to just, yeah, just meander through. It's a bit of a journey through the desert. See, this is looking pretty good so far. So I just want this to turn this way. Then we want it to turn this way.
Fuel critical.
And it's gonna stop like somewhere right here. I'll make it go all the way to the end. Right over to here.
No energy.
Looks good. So this path that kind of just meanders through here. And what will happen is there should be a bridge that goes all the way across, but the bridge will be like severely damaged. So you cannot cross it, even by player. So then there'll be this other path right here that you can take that connects up to the rest. In fact, I'll make this path a little more obvious by just having like a split from here. Okay, do this, and we're also just gonna make it turn this way here. So you go through there, you're just like, okay, there's some path over there, there's a path over here, and if you go this way, there's like, oh, it ends. But then you see it turns to sand. You just follow a sand path all the way down. And of course, I'll make extensions to these paths I'm making to kind of just go to different buildings and different things around the place. And then I can put like signs from time to time that kind of tell you where you can go or where you should be going. In fact, from here I'll probably put like another thing going over towards this way. Or no, should I? Maybe not. I'll make it so you go through this way. They go past this way. And we can of course do some interesting stuff over here too later, but for now I'm just gonna keep this, and I need a path over here. Starting from here. So I'll probably go over to like a facility that's over there. Actually pretty important, but over here we also need to have some kind of connection to the path over here. Yeah, so you have kind of an intersection here, you go this way and you can just follow this path. Which is interesting. I like the way these paths kind of meander around as well. I'll definitely love making a path that goes in through here. Just right over all this, and you just have like a hidden facility right here or something. I think that would be cool and interesting. This path over here does need a splendid too. So I'll go ahead and start working on this path here. Now I do want to split where these trees are. So I'll do kind of like a Y split here. Or like it go one path goes over here towards the mushroom forest. Which will actually have technical names later. But yeah, I do want the path to also turn in this direction. Going over towards the main facility. Another path going through here. Just connecting these. Do you want us to continue going in this direction out here? And we want this to connect up to where? Where's a door on this? No, there is a door somewhere, I just don't remember where it is exactly. There it is. Does need a tiny bit of work here. Okay, we have this path now, and we just gotta go ahead and make sure this path connects up to the rest of the path over here. Which is just straight ahead. This direction. There we go. Now over here, I do need to do a lot of work because I have to make all of this area green, which is going to take a while. A long while. But in the meantime, I want this path to kind of just continue through here. And I want to kind of just like reach into some of these areas, which would be interesting. Definitely not in
Fuel
here, but
critical.
yeah, around the place. I do want
No
one path to
energy.
kind of just go along the side of this place and maybe enter it from somewhere. I think that'll be interesting, but I do need a path that goes and connects to the entrance over here. Because Because there is an entrance to this place. Right there. So I think this will be the one that connects to this area right here, which is perfect. So you could just choose to meander up through this way. And the rover part to build is going to be fun once I actually get there. Oh, the path is just right down there. Let's go and just make it meander up in this direction after it's done lagging. That seems fine. Let's see. We have an entrance to this area right here. Oh, there is another entrance over here somewhere. There it is. Getting a rover through that's going to be fun. This path here is really important because what it does is it goes through the quarry. I mean, I want it to be in the quarry, but go around it. So my question is, do I want to make it go around the left or right or both? Let's make it go around this way. All the way around the edge, because the thing is that a big chunk of this is going to be dug into a hole. Pretty sizable hole. Just gotta continue this path right here. This part right here is a little bit risky as you're kind of just weaving around. And then I want to kind of just drive through there, and then meet up over there. There we go. So that meets up, and you're kind of just going around this path here. So far, so good. I haven't quite decided what's going to go on over here. I mean, yeah, just be driving over to like some facilities over here, which we need to build later. This biome's gonna be fun because I gotta do a lot of work on it. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of work in this biome later. That's a later me problem. I'm gonna make sure to mark this area right here before I forget. Just make sure it's smooth. So now that I have this path, I need to connect this all the way over there. Also going to build a destroyed bridge, which is going to take a little while. So my plan is to make this go around here and then meet up with this path over here. So I'm going to make this path go right over there. So I just turn this path this way. It's gonna be really neat when you're just driving along the road and you have this kind of like signs and stuff around the place so you could just decide where to go. So you can decide when to resupply. Now that we're back over here, speed myself up a little more. Okay, we're almost at the other path. I just want to make a weave between these trees because I think that's fun. And just like that, both paths have been connected. So now we have this.
Fuel critical. No energy.
I'll probably have a path going up to a facility up here in the future, but that's a later me problem to actually build that facility. I think my next problem I need to deal with is gonna be turn all this into a green zone, which is going to take ages, but I might as well just get started. I think that's the best bet here. So if I look at the map here, yeah, this entire area needs to be green. It's just a massive mushroom forest biome. Before I do anything else, I need to make sure it's all correct, though. By making sure I have the right then, where is it? Alien green grass. And then I gotta make shape radius up to maximum. And we need to make this whole area just green. All of it. That's gonna take forever. I'll start I'll start with this area up here. Just want to get rid of all the yellows around the place. And of course, after we're done with the biomes, they're probably going to turn off the ability for us to like see so clearly. Because I do have a skybox in here that makes everything bright, with no shadows or shade whatsoever. This entire area is technically supposed to be very dark, aside from the mushrooms. I'm gonna have to do a lot of work on the mushrooms. Maybe a different shape might get this done faster. If I make this maximum size, it's basically just a 100 by 100 by 100 box, which is the same thing as the sphere. So that doesn't help at all. Yeah, greening this entire region is gonna take a while. I'll probably start with the outer edges and just do it like little by little. Kind of just like in lines, I guess. And then from there, well, actually I could also do it in chunks as well. I guess both technically work. boy, building the mushrooms is going to be the hard part. But I'll worry about that afterwards, after I turn this whole area green. And I can make a path going around. Just weaving between the mushrooms. That'd be fun. And then there'll be, don't want to leave too many areas open here. I definitely don't want there to be thousands of blocks all around this whole area because of performance issues. Because if I turn off my voxel tools here, it's 1.0 sim speed, frame rates are doing okay. Those walls cause a few issues, not too much. It's handleable and, you can still play. But once we start adding tons of mushrooms in this whole area, then it becomes more of a problem. Yeah, greening this whole area is definitely a long task. Man, this big mushroom forest segment is going to be a pain. So my shot on mouse. Alright. So my plan for the mushrooms is that they will be made from blocks.
Fuel
Most
critical.
likely, I'm gonna make them so they are not god moded, so they can be broken. Of course, that means that trash cleanup will remove them pretty easily if they do get broken. Something that
No
can be done.
energy.
Um, that'll also make it so so as I build them, I'm gonna try to make them as simple as I can. Try to save up on blocks. I'm gonna be using the extra large blocks to kind of just make like a big platform, and then on top of that platform, I'm gonna build just a bunch of mushrooms on it. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna submerge that platform underneath the ground, so you only see the mushrooms coming out the ground. And of course, I'll make sure the mushrooms are modular enough so you can just have like a good variety of them, just pasting them all over the platform. And I have that be one big module I just place around the place. And I don't want these platforms to be too close to each other. There will be some space in between them, so that way they can be individual grids that will hopefully not be too many blocks. I think having each one around the 5 to 10,000 block range should be good enough, so that way you don't crash your computer. Let me actually do some quick math. So if we're using a big platform of 5 by 5 blocks, then let's see. So if we make a 20 by 20 platform, that would technically be like 100 by 100 blocks, which isn't all that bad. But if I were to make that platform, I'm using 5 by 5 blocks. Let's see here. That's just to make sure I'm doing the math correctly. Because I know that 400 blocks is a kilometer, so it's basically just if I want to make a 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer platform, will that be good enough to not cause any lag as you're loading the area at least? I don't want to be crashing people's game as they're trying to get into this area because this is a very important area of this scenario. Okay, I have to fill all this in to make it all green. And this is going to take a long time. I'm going to be here for a while. I guess I'll just work on this in chunks. Stay hydrated. Alright. I think after I finish this, a decent chunk of this, I need to work on that bridge. Or maybe that's a later me problem. Probably a later me problem. I do want to get all this green done at least today. And the mushrooms can probably be a problem for next week, and the bridge. I do like that it's started to get paths going around the place now, so that way it's easier to tell where you can go with vehicles. You can follow those paths, and that means you can make specific encounters, and that way people aren't, running around the map like a headless chicken, trying to figure out where to go. Because, to be honest, every wall module looks exactly the same, and you won't be able to tell which one is a gate. So having a path going straight to the gate is pretty useful. It's also going to be useful for telling where buildings are going to be. And of course, placing some signs around the place would also be great, just to let people know where they're going. But of course, we'll make sure the signs are destructible too, so if you accidentally crash into a sign and break it, you want people to know which way is which. Then you can also make a fun scenario where maybe a sign is already broken. Man, all these mushrooms are going to be really cool to look at. Because I do have a blueprint of one already. Or maybe like two blueprints. I could probably show those real quick. Yeah, I do have glowing mushroom blueprints here. So the forest is going to be using things like this. You can see they look kind of interesting. I will need to kind of change them a little bit. But if we just paste one on the ground here, you can kind of just see what it looks like. These are, of course, the ones used in the thumbnail. To kind of see the effects that it has, which looks really neat, very cool. Also has a neat effect on top as well. Minus that, you know, it's gonna be really cool seeing a bunch of those just all around the place. Man, doing all this voxel lands really makes it feel like this area is smaller than it actually is. If I put my character next to one of these trees, then you realize how large of an area this actually is. Making buildings around the place is going to be fun. Especially if I make them large enough to be like whole areas within themselves, just to explore. This is gonna be one of those scenarios I'll probably spend like weeks just exploring just every little inch, trying to find stuff. Just have to deal with the lag spikes from time to time because of the autosave, but also because of the massive amount of voxel changes being made here and there. A long way to go, but I'm still making good progress here. As long as I get a good amount of this done today, I'll be fine.
Fuel critical.
I'm actually really glad that voxel tools allows like a big area to be changed all at once. I could not do this if I was just doing like a tiny little like hand painted area at a time.
No energy.
Now the other issue I have with this scenario that I'm going to figure out is the weather. Because I do want it to be kind of like foggy inside the area. But I want it to be like the kind of fog where like it covers this like massive area throughout the whole scenario. As far as I know, weather in this game is only within like a local area. Once you leave that area, it kind of just disappears. So I'm wondering if I can have weather in multiple areas simultaneously. So as you're exploring, you still have that fog. I don't want to kind of like have to move the weather around because that's not really feasible. But also, you want to make sure that everything here is actually, something you can use. I do want people's visibility to be somewhat limited, so that way when they're looking around, they can probably look up and they can tell that there's like this going on above them, but not so much to the point where it's like, oh, it's the moon. It kind of just looks like a foggy ceiling. It also make it so that way you don't have to deal with all the weird terrain glitches going around the place, all the gray that pops up. You don't really notice that in first person all that much, but if you do have a vantage point, I don't want people to be able to see that easily. So far, so good. We've covered this entire area here. I guess while I'm working on this, I can talk a little bit about the different biomes that we're gonna have that are not the mushroom biome. Probably I can probably technically talk about the mushroom biome and some of the other biomes. Let me go pull up the list of biomes here. I've already talked about it before in one of the other streams, but there's a couple different biomes that can be found all throughout the map. I mean, one of the most common ones will be the kind of the expansive open fields kind of area, or I just call it the expanse. They're basically just open fields where fast names can be found. There's a little bit of foliage and some facilities spread around. Think of it kind of like a deserty, grassy kind of area. It's basically just this kind of terrain here that we're covering up. You have the kind of yellow grass, these trees. It's not I wouldn't call it like a really barren area, but it's an area. It's a good area for like starting or just having open areas where you can find some of those faster ground type enemies. Um, One of the other areas that we have, which I already built a road around, is a quarry, which is of course going to be like a big mining location where raw materials gathered for production. I will do some voxel hands there in the future where I'm going to go kind of like dig it up, make probably like a path going all the way down, probably some ladders and stuff. But the idea behind that is that way you have kind of just some mining machinery around the place there. You could commandeer to do some interesting things, or you can do a variety of different things. Um, Capturing and using the mining equipment as like vehicles to travel. I think it'd be funny if you were to capture a dump truck and use it to travel, although you're not going to be able to move to another area with it. Um, Another area, which is a little bit in distance, I think it's all the way over there, is called the Nest, which is it's just an area that has tons of enemies. It's going to be kind of like the Mushroom Forest, less mushrooms, more nest kind of ugly looking area. It's going to be very scary to look at, but it is an important area where it'll be extremely dangerous, just full of hostility all around. Uh, Definitely don't want to go in there unprepared. Probably want to make sure you bring a good rover with you. Um, the mushroom forest area that we're in right now, I'm kind of just making it all green here so it doesn't look like a desert. This area is just gonna be a really bright area where you can have all the green ground, and I believe this voxel texture does glow slightly in the dark, just a little bit, but not much to really light anything up. But one thing that's interesting about this is that there'll be all those mushrooms that are gonna be glowing bright blue, and of course, once I turn off the skybox in here, um, this whole area is gonna be really dark. So it's just gonna be glowing. It's gonna be really cool to look at. Of course, there's going to be some decently tough enemies in this area, but for the most part, it's going to be a very experiential kind of place. Like you experience the whole place, and you kind of just it's kind of like a cool place to be around. I do want people to feel not on their toes in this place, but more like a kind of like a chill area to kind of just like just be awe inspired by. It'd be really cool to look at. The lava lakes, which will be over past the quarry, that area is going to be tricky because that's going to be where very strong enemies can be found. There's of course going to be the lava, which I'm going to have to use glowing blocks for and put welders underneath them with a sensor. But basically, if you try to walk on the lava, it will basically burn your character. But of course, your vehicles will be able to drive over it safely for the most part. For the most part. I can't really make them melt your vehicles, but it'll be more like magma instead of lava. Like actual lava. Um, the main facility area, which is all the way over there, that's gonna be like a big area with a lot of resources, a lot of vehicles you can commandeer. There's gonna be some very tough enemies there, some automated defenses as well, so you kind of just worry about multiple threats. It's gonna be a very tough area, but it's a very high risk, high reward kind of thing. There's gonna be so many buildings to explore, so much stuff to do there. It's gonna be almost like a small city of sorts, just with a ton of stuff going on. And of course, it's not all going to be above ground. It's going to be a whole subterranean section to that facility as well, which is going to be really cool. What else is there down there? Um, I know the edge is an area we've already made, which is an area where I wanted to make that broken bridge before. We made like a little sand path earlier through it. That area is basically just a cliff side where flying enemies like to hang out. You can drive through there carefully, but flying enemies will, go after you. I think it'll be an interesting little area. It's very small, very short, but you do have to drive through there kind of carefully to make sure you don't flip your vehicle. Um, there's also the other cavern over there, where it's going to be really dark, really cramped. There's going to be some open areas as well, but flying enemies, some hidden enemies are going to be around there, and it's going to be a overall interesting. It's going to be a really interesting experience because of how claustrophobic the cavern areas are going to be. It's going to be a fun way of exploring. Now, another area, there's the glacier, which is all over there by that ice lake. I'll definitely do a lot of voxel. I'm going to be using a specific type of voxel. I'm going to replace the lake with a different kind of voxel texture, probably the alien ice one from the poles, which looks really like blue. It's really nice looking. I'm going to kind of just use that and kind of just make a big glacier all the way around there as well. Instead of a physical wall, I'm gonna make a big glacier. I think that'll be something interesting. And of course, I will go ahead and make openings in the glacier so you can go to the ruins, which is going to be a hidden area where there's going to be a lot of secrets and a lot of hidden areas. I'm thinking the ruins is going to be like a much older facility of sorts. I think it's kind of funny now that I think about it. Like, basically, you arrive exploring I wouldn't say abandoned, I would say more recently abandoned facility, which was studying another abandoned facility, which was studying just a local area, which is kind of funny. It's a big loop, but it makes sense, sort of. I guess. I don't know. I'm making significant progress here. So I know that I work on this scenario every Wednesday. Or at least I try to. Sometimes I get busy and I can't do it, but uh, I'm also working on another scenario at the same time. Usually most of the weekdays or even the weekends, I'll just be working on the other scenario, which is a much smaller RTS based scenario or real time strategy scenario. It'll be kind of fun and interesting. It's more focused around mix, but it's just a slow project. Mostly because it's just a lot of complicated work setting everything up. Space engineers and RTS don't mix together all that well. It's kind of glitchy sometimes, but it works. But combining RTS with mechs is it's a big task. Not an easy one, but it's definitely an interesting one. It's something fun that I've been working on. I guess I could talk about more things about this scenario though, since we're here for about this scenario. I know one thing I'm going to be doing in this is I'm going to be working on yeah, for this scenario, I'm gonna be working on different vehicles and stuff to explore. I don't know if I mentioned before, but there will be a few different mechs you can find in this scenario. Maybe one or two, but for the most part, they're not going to be combat-based mechs. They're more going to be like industrial mechs, more for like lifting boxes and carrying things around. There may be like one mech that was modified for combat kind of hastily, so it will be like a little Easter egg you can find and use. But because of how big the map is, mechs aren't really viable for travel. Unless you actually want to go through traveling like 3 meters per second throughout the whole scenario. What I was going to do is I was going to make it so that mechs will be able to fold up and connect to a truck or the rear of a truck to be able to be transported. Think of it kind of like a forklift. I know some forklifts do this thing where they attach to the rear of a trailer and then they can be carried from place to place. And then that forklift can just be unloaded, and then they can use that forklift immediately after to just unload everything that's on the trailer. It's a really interesting system, but I think it'd be something neat for this scenario, just to have like a special loading mech. So you can have a choice to use a mech or a forklift. Both will have their pros and cons, I guess. I think the biggest the biggest advantage to using a mech would be that they surprisingly use less
Fuel
power than rovers in
critical.
this game, like significantly less. And because you're going to be driving so much around the scenario, if you're using a rover around the place, you will run out of fuel eventually. I know all the vehicles in this scenario will be hydrogen powered, so
No
hydrogen will be
energy.
a limited resource that you can use to travel. And of course, a hydrogen powered mech won't have to worry about, you know, you won't have to worry about running out of power all that easily. I know that all the vehicles are probably going to have I'll make them so they all use small batteries to store a little bit of power, but then they can use a hydrogen engine on board connected to a fuel tank, probably a small one. So you refuel them, and they'll be using that hydrogen engine and their hydrogen fuel as their power source, kind of like a fuel gauge. So as you're driving around, you will have to keep track of how much hydrogen you have, and you'll have to go around exploring to gather all your hydrogen at refuel points. That also means that you can't just have to choose which vehicle you want to use very wisely. I know some vehicles are going to use significantly more fuel than others, but of course they might be more heavily defended, have more cargo capacity, or they might just be faster overall, just using significantly more resources. I mean, I don't know. Maybe people might go for a more combat-focused vehicle in this scenario. I know the armored vehicles will probably be more of a popular choice because it's great. It's great for protecting your convoy and going into combat because they can take some damage, not a lot, but enough to make sure they can survive a little bit longer, as opposed to a fully industrial vehicle, which doesn't have as much health but has more versatility in what it can do. I know that going around with a trailer is going to be an interesting task. I'm going to have a lot of fun making vehicles in this scenario because I do want to make sure there's really good variety. I might just revisit the concept arts I have saved and probably look for a few more that might work well. I think one thing that's interesting here, now that I think about it, is I know that this scenario is supposed to be part of a series. This first scenario is probably going to take the longest out of all of them to make, probably, just because it covers such a massive area and has so many details to worry about. The other two scenarios would be a lot easier to make because they don't cover as much of an area and they just have more building rather than level design stuff going on. I mean, maybe the third one will have more level design technically speaking, but a lot of it already will be pretty simple and already done. You're not really going into detail since it's not really player focused, or it's more focused around the vehicles that you're going to be using. I know this scenario is going to be more focused around the player character. There should be more scenarios in the workshop that deal more with the player character scale rather than just massive spaceships everywhere. Like I get that's a space game, but there's a whole missed opportunity of just trying to make you kind of feel how small your character is compared to everything else around. I don't know. Scale feels more impactful when you are around a lot of smaller things. So when you do find something that's big, you're like, wow, that's big. Rather than just being around a bunch of big things and seeing them small, and you're like, wow, that's small. I think that kind of makes things more impressive if you start from a smaller scale than just have only a few very large things that you very rarely if ever see. And also making sure that players are traveling on foot also makes people appreciate scale a little more as well. Because they're not just flying around looking at things from third person, just being like really detached from it. When they have their player character involved, they kind of feel more like they are uh, in the world in a way. got a lot of work done in this time. Look at all this. It's all green. And once you get over there, it's going to be a lot easier. Actually, I'm almost done with this segment, and I can go ahead and work on a bridge or something. So I do want to get that bridge done so that way I don't have to come back to this area later. I'm trying to think about different vehicle designs that would be necessary for this scenario. So, so I know the forklift and the mech are going to be pretty important ones for moving the power sources around. But one that I think would be a lot more important would be, transportation vehicles, like of course, like a different type of trucks. I'll probably have like a truck and trailer kind of thing. I'll definitely have some APC type vehicles around the place. Not gonna include any. There's not gonna be any tanks or anything of that kind of nature. I think the only kind of weaponized vehicle, technically speaking, will probably be a truck with a small turret in the back, which ammo will be extremely rare for, but it's something, I guess. And with a small grid pickup mod, what I can do is I can probably make it so there are deployable turrets you can pick up and take with you in your truck and trailer as well. Something like that can be pretty handy if you have the resources to make it work. Also, you're not going to be able to set them up in a lot of cases. And maybe if you have like a flatbed trailer, you can probably just like set them up directly on the trailer itself. I think that'd be kind of funny. But of course, they will run out of ammo pretty quickly.
Fuel critical. No energy.
There's so much voxel being changed. We're almost done with this chunk. I'm not really going to worry about any of that because, to be honest, I'm not really going to be up there. It's more or less this area down here I'm more concerned about. Just a little bit more to go in this area. So much voxel hands needs to be done here. almost done with this segment. Voxel hands in this game is very finicky. There we go. So we've made all of this into grass. That took so long to do. And of course I got to make a path going all the way through this and making a bunch of mushrooms everywhere, which is fine. But the thing is, we have to continue and we have to make this whole area here within these walls just all grass. It's just such a massive area. And to be honest, I might not even make it go the full length. I might just make it over there and then make it just like maybe stop in this area here. Maybe not go much further than where the desert area
Fuel
is.
critical.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
No energy.
Before I do anything else, I do want to just go ahead and make the bridge that's right here. So I'm going to just teleport over here, remove this because I don't need that, and I'm going to go ahead and start making this bridge. Of course, I do want it to be just like a battered old bridge. Would actually be really cool if I could use this kind of block here for the bridge. I think it's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and just start making this bridge all the way across. Probably want to like go to there, which is actually a lot easier. So I'll probably make it a path just like twist over here to here. And then I'll have the bridge going across this way. So this right here looks reasonable. So now we just have this kind of thing going all the way across. I do want to make it a double. But to do that, I just need to carefully make it look right. See, that works right there. So now we have the start of a bridge, and I do want to build the full bridge before I go ahead and work on other things here. So let's go ahead and let's do this. I need just a little bit of voxel tools here just to go clean that up. Yeah, voxel's gonna be very finicky sometimes. I guess there's just so much voxel tools in the world that I just cannot remove that. So I guess we're gonna have to dig manually. I do have drilling enabled, right? Where is it? To go find E on here. There it is. Wait, hand drill. I just want to dig enough for this other drilling signals. Okay. Just temporarily.
Fuel.
Oh, I don't have energy. That's why it's not doing anything.
No energy.
Let's just give myself a tiny bit of energy so I can actually drill that properly. That's
Fuel
fine.
critical.
Now it should work. Okay, plan B. We need a drilling machine, which I should have. Something that'll work in this environment. Something that's small enough. So this should get the job done. Yeah, it definitely gets the job done. Let's get to fly to the other one and do a little bit of cleanup over here as well. Just like that. This part of the bridge is now functional. So now the fun part is I have to go ahead and add some bracing in between here. And of course I built this part wrong.
Fuel low. Fuel
Not too
critical.
overly concerned. I'm gonna get some of these truss blocks here. I'm just gonna go ahead and make these connections from here. Bit of a lag spike here as stuff is loading in. Do you want to make sure the game is saved? I'm just going to keep adding these bracing for the bridge here, which should keep the whole thing intact. I mean, I'm gonna have to add some other bracing down below. That's kind of just holding the bridge up. I want to do the same up here. So this bridge is going to feel pretty secure. At least while you're traveling around it for a little bit. And I'm gonna need some pillars going down here from time to time. I'm gonna go and make these pillars out of heavy armor, and I want them to be this kind. Pretty robust, pretty straightforward bridge design here. I mean, it's lazier than making an entire truss system. Which, to be honest, would be interesting, but at the same time, just painful to make. We're
Fuel critical.
trying to make something really quick here. Just want to keep it simple. And what I'm actually going to do is probably put like another one of those just going down here into there, and I'll do the same thing over there. And then in the middle, I'll make it so the bridge kind of just has damage and stuff, so you can't actually pass it. So when you reach this section of the bridge, you're just like, oh, I guess I can't go this way. I feel like this is going to remind people of the frostbite scenario, the bridge section where something just completely breaks and falls. So yeah, it looks kind of secure. There's a space in here, two of them in between, so then we do this one right here. I feel like someone's gonna be like a structural engineer in the comments and they're just gonna be like, this bridge is definitely not secure. We're just gonna say it uses space magic to stay up. There we go, a basic bridge. And now what I want to do, one of these panels here, I'm going to go ahead and... Where's the 5x5 blocks? I need this, and I need this. So I'm going to go and cut this, and we can go ahead and make some braces here.
Fuel critical.
I'm going to do the same exact thing right here. So you're just driving your truck here, and you're just like, wait a minute. Yeah, that'd be quite a fall. Then down here, I just want to make sure I have the right ones. This kind. I'm just going to kind of just point it to the ground here. I don't know if anyone's gonna try to parkour across this. Yeah, good luck. there's no way you could parkour that. And there's no reason to wait actually going up top here. I mean, technically you could get your player to try to get up here if you were to climb on top of your truck, but what's the point? You're gonna be stuck walking and you're going to probably not have the oxygen to make it very far. So that's the bridge. I'm gonna go and name it a bridge real quick so people know where it is. Actually, no, it's fine. I'll name it later. I need voxel hands again. I need to go over here, measure the size of the road with the voxel hands. This is way too big. I have to make sure it's the right size. So the road is like... I think these aren't 15 meters wide. That's the wrong voxel. Where's stone? Where's stone 2? This one. Make sure you completely remove the grass there so people don't notice it. So now we have something that looks like this, and you can just drive along the bridge, which is very sketchy. But of course, if you somehow make it to your side, or if you are on your side already, you can just use the this road right here. Just connect up to the rest of the stuff. So it's going to turn along here and just snake directly into the path over there. Black spike. Yep. So there's that path right there. So you can choose to just go this way to the bridge. You can just continue along this path here. There's going to be a lot of intersections everywhere, going to so many different places. But yeah, that's that done. So far, everything looks good. But of course, I do need to work on a lot more voxel over here. This is going to take a while. And of course, this area over here also needs its own work. So what is this? This would also be the expansive field area, which I guess it kind of already fits in with. It's fine. Actually, no, I'll have to replace all this desert with this kind of terrain here, so it's a lot more like a field. The cave area down here, I do need to do a lot of voxel work in
Fuel
here to make it
critical.
feel more like a cave. Probably just change on the ground material, the wall materials and everything, just to make it feel more cave-like. And as you exit through here, I think this entire area here all needs to become like desert, basically. This area over here, I don't have to do anything. This area over here is just adding a bunch of buildings and pavements later. So that's going to be easy. Of course, the glacier over here is where problems start to actually happen, though. And of course, I didn't add a wall from here to there. I guess that's fine, because I'll probably have yeah, I'll probably be fine if I do have to put like a big glacier kind of thing in this area here. Yeah, that's fine. I can add this wall later. Actually, I can connect it from here. No, I don't want to do that. It's gonna be from here going that way. My game might crash trying to do that later, but that's a tomorrow. Or actually, that's a next week me problem. I think I've made enough progress for today. We've done a lot of work with voxel and just making paths everywhere. Everything is looking good so far. Progress is slow and steady, but we are making good progress. Oh yeah, I almost forgot there is a path right over here. I'll make this path first. Where is it? I know there's a gate here somewhere. It's gonna be somewhere along this side. Just one of these paths. It's probably close to this path over here, but I don't see the door. Maybe I just didn't add the gateway over here. More likely than not, I didn't add the gateway here, so that's another thing to add to the list of things to do. Let me double check it. Battery. Check for a gate. My game did not like that. No, there is no gate on this. So I do need to add a gate module to this. And that gate module is going to be closer to... Actually, I could put it over there and have a path go along the side there and up this way. But yeah, there is going to be a path going from here, connected to this path here. That's enough work for today. I'm going to go ahead and close the stream. I hope you all have a great day. Take care.